half away is the lock-in for RNG. JDG could just go for something like the bot lane 2v2 here if they want to start it off, or could go for the jungle instead, but I like the idea of going for the bot lane 2v2.
Same.
You could always go for an Azir for Yagao.
I like that idea as well. Go for the bot lane. You don't really need to lock in the jungle. You know where Hecarim's going. Hold on to the jungle pick so that way you can get this ADC a bit early. Tristana, Kaisa, both of them have been left open, but they opt instead to go to the matchup that is always expected. Udyr, Hecarim, Olaf, that's the trifecta of junglers. Lilia kind of hanging out on the edge of that as well, but these are like the default ones that everyone falls back to, so I'm expecting ADCs to be picked up next.
Yeah, so Udyr and Alistar, and I don't hate picking the Udyr here because you're trying to figure out what matchup you're going into, right? They're basically saying to Gala and Ming, what style are you playing here? Because Gala plays Kaisa pretty much every game. Like, he has played other picks. We've seen his Xayah, we've seen his Aphelios, but Kaisa is far and away his most played champion, and certainly his best champion, at least, if not most played. But looking at what pick Ming will go for as well can allow Loken a bit more space on that AD carry pick, make sure he's going into a good matchup and just locking in the really strong support in that of the Alistar. It's going to be a Sion, though. Blind pick for the top lane here for Xiaohu.
I mean, it could be Flex. It could be Cryin playing it as well. We have seen a couple of Sions played, but I don't think that is a Cryin champion. That is probably going to go topside. The Tristana is the trade here for JDG, but I'm really curious as to what the side of JDG are going to do to answer this Sion. Since Gnar is gone, Jace is gone, where normally you kind of want to have Zoom on a stack top lane and weak side top lane, but it's Sion. You're not really going to do anything anyways into this matchup, and Xiaohu's doing what you normally do.
Yeah, so Xiaohu on a tank makes me think RNG are changing things up for this game. I think RNG are basically saying, look, Zoom's going to be safe. Zoom is just going to chill at the top side. I honestly think maybe RNG ban away the Gangplank here, just to stop him having this sort of free in quotation marks laning phase for the Gangplank to scale up. I think maybe RNG are going to try and contest on this bottom side of the map instead. Rakan taken off the board here. So Orianna, very much a comfort pick for Cryin. The Azir still open and available. That could be the next pick for JDG. Perfectly safe to go for that blind in the mid lane. Obviously Zoe already banned away. The Orianna banned away as well. So I feel like Azir is kind of the premium, safe, wave clear mid lane available.
Well, Renekton is going to be the final ban for RNG.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking towards the Azir. I'm also looking towards the Gangplank. JDG hovering this Twisted Fate, the rotating ability, the global that it adds, if they somehow are able to get Gangplank on top of that, that'd be impressive. They can move around the map and actually contest RNG on a lot of early objectives.
So, they do have a 100% win rate with Twisted Fate right now. This is a pick that Yagao played a ton last year as well. This is not something that JDG are new to. Yagao being able to get around the map and find advantages through side lanes. I like it, though. Like, the reason that we were talking about the Azir is to be able to just get shove in mid and you know, handshake the mid lane and scale up. Instead of scaling up, he's handshaking the mid lane, still has that shove, but he can impact the game elsewhere early on. Get this Tristana ahead for Loken. And Zoom goes for this Sett as well. So very, very safe on the top side. Tank versus tank. Shouldn't be too much going on there, but Zoom can do very, very well into those tanks as the Sett. Sett does a really, really good job into those beefy frontliners. So this is, I actually really like this composition coming out from JDG, so long as Yagao gets out of that mid lane and gets proactive on the bottom side of the map.
There's a reason that Twisted Fate has been the most banned against JDG. It's what they've been able to do. As you mentioned, 100% win rate on this champion. They understand pretty much the level 6 mechanic. Once you get level 6, you're out of that lane. You're going elsewhere. You're trying to find what other leads you can get for your team. And putting Zoom onto the Sett actually has me really excited. Normally, weak side top lane, but Sett into Sion is a lot more favored towards Sett because he just likes to bully people in lane.
Yeah, we'll see how that top lane is going to go. I don't anticipate that being a huge focus of action, although, like, let's be honest, with these junglers, it wouldn't surprise me too much if we do have a couple of ganks. Like, Sett can set up incredibly well for ganks in the top side, so it wouldn't be crazy to see at least a couple of ganks going that way, but we'll have to wait and see on that regard. I'm mostly looking towards the bottom side of the map. At minimum, we need to see Yagao moving around. He's very likely going to go for this Twisted Fate build that we're so regularly seeing with the Everfrost, with the Rapid Fire Cannon, the Lich Bane. So it's all about picking people off, playing for those picks, getting to dragons way early to set up vision so that they can pick RNG apart before the fight ever begins.
And they're gonna try to see if they're gonna be able to beat them in that bot lane. JDG, RNG, let's get ready for the game. As we've loaded up, we're ready to get going for this first exciting matchup between RNG and JDG. I'm excited to see how they're going to be able to battle, especially around the bottom half of the map. Loken, LvMao want to be able to carry JDG, and they want to be able to have Yagao coming in there and helping them out in those early rotations.
I'm excited for this one because RNG are clear favorite coming into the series, and Gala especially on this Kaisa. This is very much a pick that he has excelled on this split. But this is not the classic for the side of RNG when you look at the way that they've built this composition. Like, Xiaohu's played a lot of Gnar for sure. He's played a bit of Gragas as well. It's not like he's not played any tanks in the top side. But when you think about Xiaohu succeeding this split, it's picks like the Tristana top, the Orianna top, the Syndra top, even the Camille's and the Lucians they've been like the standout picks for Xiaohu. So opting into this start, oh no. Oh god. You can't start the game like this, guys. Come on, way.
No. Well,
what a way to do it.
It happens. It happens. They are still going to be able to at least get something, but this gives a lot of priority over to Kanavi. And I told you about this set into Sion. It's not needing any help from Kanavi. It's all about bullying tanks.
Yeah, I mean, that's not just down to the matchup either. That is Xiaohu simply disrespecting right there. 2v2 though.
Ooh, LvMao taking a lot of damage. Seems that Gala and Ming trying to get that early advantage utilizing this Leona. Look at that, just standing right in front of the minion saying, I dare you. I dare you to come anywhere near to them.
Feels like the players are feeling fresh stepping onto the Rift today. We're getting a little bit of 2v2 action in the bot side. We get to see Zoom just absolutely bullying Xiaohu, who, let's be honest, took a disrespectful path into the lane. You know that you don't beat the Sett 1v1. Like, you know, especially at level 1. And Zoom punishing incredibly hard for that. We looked at the top lane stats. Zoom is all about that individual lead that he's able to find for himself and already kicking that off with a bang.
No, I doubt there's really going to be anything to change that unless you have Wei visiting that top side. But as we saw, unfortunately, a bit of a rough start. This is going to give Kanavi such a massive lead to be able to utilize this Udyr to constantly pressure Hecarim. If Hecarim even falls a smidgen behind Udyr, he will constantly be able to beat him to the punch on every objective.
Look at this, Kanavi moving up towards the top side. Xiaohu's still level 2. This is bad news bears for Xiaohu.
They're just going to utilize that Haymaker shield to be able to flash away. And look at that damage. Look at that play from Kanavi. It is a 1 first blood for Kanavi. Zoom not even close, baby.
Not even close. Cool guys though, look at explosions as he just waltzes away from the tower. Nicely done by JDG. And it turns out it's Xiaohu who's the weak side top laner. It's Xiaohu that's getting dived. Xiaohu's getting a taste of his own medicine right here in the top side.
Ooh, but the 2v2 bot lane, Ming at least getting the rocket jump out of Loken. But it is interesting to see this change for RNG. Normally having such a strong top side. It seems more though, it is going to be about Gala and Ming. Them trying to be able to carve out advantages and having Xiaohu default back to the weak side, defaulting back to the frontline member that is only going to be there to absorb damage for them.
So I want to quickly address the the compositions holistically here and what we should be expecting from our two teams as we move forward in this game. And on the side of JDG, I've said it most games so far today, with an Udyr on your side, you should be looking towards the Drakes, especially with the Twisted Fate in that mid lane. You can just shove out. And the same in the bot side. With Alistar Tristana, you're able to get push, you're able to get priority on the bottom side of the map. So they should be able to look towards Drakes. Yagao is getting close to going down here. Good trade from Cryin.
Now, Cryin was able to get a lot of damage back. And, oh, Xiaohu, you can't push out the wave like this. It doesn't matter if you think that Wei is nearby. You're going to just get chased down by Kanavi. Even with Wei getting a lot of damage, it's going to be the solo kill, gifted over to Kanavi, trying to be able to get away from the zombie form. And keep in mind, Zoom didn't even bother to join in. He's like, you've got this, right, bro?
Yeah, Zoom's much more worried about the state of his wave right now and where he's holding this in the lane. This is brutal for Xiaohu. That's his second death. Does not have TP. The wave is going to be frozen there for a little while. I think it should slowly push out now, but even still, it'll be a lot of CS denied by Zoom here. That is a rough situation for Xiaohu to be in, falling massively behind. And now, you can see, Dragon is onto the map. LvMao moving into the enemy jungle, making sure to get some deep vision as early as possible before the resets. You see Ming is going to be resetting right now. With the push in mid, with the push in bot, JDG should be favorites to go for early Drakes, but Kanavi, he just wants to ruin Xiaohu's day.
Uh-oh, be careful though. Wei is nearby. Oh, this is why they have Destiny. They've opened up the gate. They noticed that Wei is there, and so they're gonna disengage that one pretty easily. And that's the nice thing about Destiny, Kate. Once you see everyone on the map, you know whether or not that play is gonna be successful before even teleporting.
And here's the thing, right? We said we needed Yagao at level 6 to get out onto these side lanes and see what he's going to be doing. Clearly, they telegraphed to us that they're trying to make a play towards the top side, but even if they don't make the play, they force Wei to play towards that side of the map. Now Kanavi can just go to the bottom side. That priority still was very much in favor of the bot laners for JDG, but 2v2 going on. Wei is over at the Crooks as well.
Uh-oh. That's a lot of damage on the LvMao. He had a flash coming in from Gala, trying to be able to get the 2v2 kill, even getting cleansed to be able to get rid of that ignite immediately. Not wanting to worry about any trade back if Kanavi was in the area, but Kanavi's busy. He wanted the dragon.
Yeah. I was expecting Wei to get involved on the bot side. I was expecting maybe a contest over the Drake. They just wanted a 2v2. Gala gets himself the kill there. Very nicely done. And so JDG do get that early trait. They're able to use the Destiny well to find themselves advantages in the top side. But Gala and Ming step up. This is the quote-unquote weak side bot lane that we always talk about. How they're usually quite passive. Usually they're letting Xiaohu lead the charge. But this time around, they turn it on its head. And with Zoom in the game, they decided, you know what, Xiaohu? You're on your own this time. Let's play for Gala and Ming.
I like that. It's the smart plays that we expect from RNG. Changing up the strategies, trying to figure out their opponents and what they normally play to be able to beat them in a separate game. And having Gala and Ming be these people to be able to have a 2v2 advantage that normally is not there. Normally it's Loken LvMao that is constantly played around by Kanavi. Well, suddenly you've lost that option for JDG where they might have to go back to the drawing board, maybe try to see if they can Yagao to be able to be the one that they actually want to play around.
I wasn't sure if LvMao was going to go for the Hex Flash play into the mid lane there, but he's just going to back away. Now, we're getting to the point in the game where blue buffs are coming in and a couple of items should come either side. It will be Cryin that's able to get some push advantages in that mid lane. It's not as easy for Yagao to just shove the wave and get out onto the sidelines. But all he needs to do is at least neutralize the lane so that he can get elsewhere on the map. But RNG able to grab themselves the Herald. Zoom had to reset, I believe, so they're able to at least do that one.
So
and now over towards the bot side as Gala returns.
I was going to say, I really like so far what JDG have done in this early game, being able to play around the top side. But it does feel like they're leaving Loken and LvMao out too much. And should we expect to see Kanavi suddenly shifting now that they've gotten a pretty good advantage for Zoom in the top lane towards that bot lane?
I would love to see exactly that. Because when you look at that composition, there is no damage except for Loken. Like, obviously, Yagao's going to do some damage, but realistically, he's there as a utility mid laner. He's there to set the play up. Loken is the guy that has to carry this team. So sure, you've got an advantage for Zoom. It's a huge advantage, but now we need to see that lead transitioned elsewhere. It's lucky that Kanavi got both of the kills because it means that he can very aggressively transition that lead elsewhere on the map now.
especially because Zoom is going to be building the typical Sett build where you get that stride breaker to be able to dash in a bit easier so you can get range for the base breaker, all that jazz. That's pretty standard. And having a tank with that much gold isn't really the best. You always want to be able to put it on someone who's going to be able to help out a bit more elsewhere. But I like this. They were able to try to go for the Destiny Gate play onto Xiaohu. Having Kanavi on the other side, they are punishing poor Xiaohu, saying, don't ever play weak side again.
Yeah, but Wei is here to answer on the bottom side of the map. They've got a Rift Herald to work with. Solar Flare.
They might just have to give up LvMao on this one. He's pretty much a dead cow. Let him be made of mincemeat. Give the kill over to Gala, because that wouldn't be a good fight to have back.
So now onto the bot lane tower. Gala can clear those waves. I don't know if they'll be able to actually finish the tower off. They need to get at least a couple of plates here. I mean, we're doing the picture-in-picture. There's no way that Zoom wins this race. Not against the Rift Herald.
I believe in
They'll
you.
be able to drop this one down.
I believe in him.
That final plate is just too damn tanky, man.
You just gotta believe, Munch. Come on. You gotta give him the chance. Look at this. It's so close. Come on. Keep punching it. You got this. Oh, he might have it. You see, you
God, he
believe.
did it.
Believe.
All right, Zoom, I take it back, man. He's too damn good at the game. They gave him 19 ganks in the first 4 minutes of the game, and it turns out he's real big right now. Able to take that down, finishes the Stride Breaker, gets the first tower of the game, and also gets that solo goal. So Zoom is monstrously huge, but now JDG, they've got to make things happen on the bottom side of the map. Because yes,
agreed,
Zoom is big, but Loken is falling behind. He's pretty much your only source of damage. And look at the composition that RNG have. They have so much dive with Wei, with the Leona, as well as Gala on this Kaisa. If they can find Loken out of position, they will just jump straight at him and one-shot him. So now, JDG, you need to start playing towards Loken. You need to set your AD carry up for success.
It's one of those compositions that I always like to dub the submarine comp, where every element of it can dive into the backline. Even Azir, who's normally someone who wants to be in the backline, he's easily able to get on top of Yagao and Loken.
Well, the submarine comp is that's Twitch Shen, right?
Oh yeah, it's where it really
Shen?
stems from, but this is still a similar idea.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. They are diving. They're definitely diving, so I can't criticize that. But I remember that one being specifically called the thing. Hang on. Drake's up, though. And we're going to see the two teams sort of grouping for this one. You can see Zoom moving down on your map as well. We could have a 5v5 on our hands, and let's be honest, with a Twisted Fate, 5v5 straight up is not JDG's big comfort zone.
No, but Kanavi
like
does have that Frostfire Gauntlet, and that makes it a lot harder to be able to kill this Udyr, especially in the mid game, since you're still working on being able to complete that mythic for Gala, the one with 2 kills, the one you put so many of your resources in. It was a smart call from RNG not to try to fight that one, purely for the fact that you probably wouldn't have been able to get through the tanks.
So another Drake now for JDG. We talked about with this Udyr, with this Twisted Fate, they needed to focus on those early, and they will be able to get 2 back-to-back. It's an Infernal Soul as well, so we were talking about how maybe JDG's comp lacks damage. Not with an Infernal Soul, it doesn't. So if they can grab that one for themselves, they'll be in a much better position. And, you know, that pick potential from the Twisted Fate only gets bigger. But I want to see JDG now. I've said it about 6 times. Go to the bot lane, get this tower broken down, get Loken set up for success.
One day, Munch, they'll listen to you. One day. I don't know what day that is, but one day.
I think the key thing, though, is... Oh, hang on, Zoom is
Oh, here we go. I like this, but there's a lot of damage put onto Yagao. It's still a good drawback in onto Ming to be able to punish him and bully him around, so you have 3 kills onto Kanavi.
All right. A nice pickup here for JDG, but ultimately still focusing towards the top side of the map. I want to see them try and finish off the tier 1s in the other lanes now. Open this map up, because when you look at a Twisted Fate and a Sett in the composition, Yagao really wants to go for this. Okay, Cryin's fine. When you look at Twisted Fate and Sett in a composition, you have really, really good 1-3-1, because Sett obviously can just run between the lanes, no worries. He's pretty quick. But Twisted Fate with that Destiny can be in a side lane, get over to the rest of the team very, very quickly, whereas this is Azir not as able to just fly around the map in the same way. So there's a lot of opportunity there for JDG to play the map beautifully in the mid game and the late game if they're able to just open this map up first.
And that's what I want to see them try to do. Try to be able to continue to open up the map. Try to be able to find those picks you were talking about with Yagao. He's still waiting to be able to get that Destiny Gate back up. It's only halfway through its cooldown, but having Everfrost completed is going to be a nice touch to try to see if you can pick off someone like Gala, who's not going to be able to get away too easily. Sure, you have Cleanse to be able to try to see if you can escape from Yagao's clutches, but you can only cleanse so many things. There's a lot of point and click to be able to kill him, especially if you have a rotation like we see that JDG are trying to set up around this Rift Herald.
RNG contesting this one as well, and should be able to get that. Zoom going to trade it in the bot side, and do you know what? It's a Herald. What does a Herald translate to? A tower. So Zoom's like, I've already got a tower. No worries. You guys can have the Herald. We'll just focus on the Drake in 2 minutes time. We'll focus on opening this map up. Like we said, this is exactly what they want to do. Look at where they are on the map right now. Yagao in the top side, Zoom on the bottom side, and then your 3 core members in the mid lane. This is exactly how JDG need to play to open this map up. And guess what? If you get these side laners with push priority, you can suddenly find yourselves with a man advantage in the mid lane and go for a dive onto Cryin.
And remember how I was talking about, easy to execute compositions front to back? Well, sure, there's the dive potential out of RNG. If you look at it holistically, more likely than not, it's a front to back composition with the meatballs up front, the carries in the back. The great thing to counter that is never fighting it. You stick to what you were talking about, the 1-3-1, putting people in side lanes, and it seems that RNG weren't ready for that. They weren't expecting anyone to try to go for the style. This is great from JDG.
The key thing for RNG is that while this composition is looking really good for JDG right now, if RNG ever managed to wrestle tempo away from JDG, if they ever manage to be the team that's leading the charge on what towers they're going for, that's not a fight though.
I don't know if they want to start that fight. They didn't have the proper positioning. Look at Cryin, he doesn't have that TP to be able to join in. That could have been devastating had JDG been the ones to commit fully for it.
Yeah, so JDG able to step in with the man advantage there, trying to brute force their way onto the map. You can see last second reset here for, I'm not sure who that was. I think it was Kanavi, because Drake's coming up in 40 seconds. So JDG need to be grouping up. This will be sole point. RNG, they've got a good 5v5. They've got a good dive. They need to shut down Loken during this fight. Whereas, Kanavi and Zoom, they are pretty massive at this point in the game. So it might be difficult to get past this front line.
The big boys are going to punch some faces. That's what they're going to do. They are going to look for Gala and punch him in the face a bunch. That is all they have to do, and as long as they can take out Kaisa, honestly, that's a lot of the lead that RNG have been able to get gone.
So TP's available on both sides here. RNG grouping up in the mid lane. So JDG have position for the Drake right now, but all 5 members are here for RNG. Yagao moving down, has Destiny.
I didn't like that position from LvMao. It looked a bit bad. He took a lot of damage on that, but Kanavi still trying to hold on to this flank angle. Has a 2-level lead over Wei, so might be able to have this fight. Getting soul point would be nice, but you don't want to lose too much. Gala on the other side, just to distract, just to be able to have another angle. They're trying to split up RNG, so they can't ever have that front-to-back comp. But you got to be careful that people are jumping onto Loken. He's able to get away just for now, but there's a lot of damage. Zoom here, he's got the slam down. He needed to, but they got Gala away still. Now they've had the kill on the way. Xiaohu, the next target. They've got Loken in the position to be able to get the reset on top, right on to Cryin. They've taken down RNG, even if Gala was able to take one with him. It's not going to be so great. Well, Ming gets the portal combat on the other side. Kanavi says, thank you. I'll take my soul points.
LvMao, you beautiful man. A 4-man pulverized from him in the fight. JDG, it looked so bad to start off with. They were all in different directions. They were spread out. I thought it was just going to be a 5v3 before the rest of the team could arrive. But LvMao, by so much time for their squad, they're able to divide and conquer during this fight, and in these smaller skirmishes within the fight, they're able to come out on top. Let's take a bit of a closer look at what actually happened, because we see the hard engage coming out here, the onslaught shadows across the squad, but Loken survives, and that's what we said. Keep your eyes on Loken. LvMao flashes in, gets everyone, and the Emperor's Divide just doesn't do enough damage at this point in the game. Knocked away with the Buster Shot is Cryin. You can see both carries from RNG just zoned away on the top side of the map. And then Loken's like, all right, time to move in. Yagao's here. Time to finish everyone off.
And with that, getting the ace, getting themselves within soul point, that is a huge shift of gold that they've now gotten over RNG, taking down that tier 1 mid on top of everything else, icing on the cake for JDG. They're scaled up in this perfect position to be able to consistently bully around RNG. And here we do see that Rift Herald was popped mid lane to get a lot of damage, but it wasn't able to secure the turret, which means that JDG have that tempo advantage because they can now go and take RNG's jungle free.
They can move in and grab some of that jungle. Once again, we can set with the 1-3-1. We talked about this before. This is perfect for JDG, right? Zoom just sits to the bottom side. Doesn't actually have his TP available right now, so maybe needs to move over to Xiaohu does. We've got to fight from RNG.
There looks like there's a lot of damage on Kanavi, but he's still alive. He's difficult to be able to kill. Xiaohu kind of trying to see if he can position to be able to take down LvMao. He's not as tanky as he would like to be, and Zoom was never able to get into the fight in the first place. So RNG trying to kite back with Kanavi pretty low. They've at least forced away JDG from being able to continue to harass their base in their jungle.
Yeah, only 2 ults used as well by RNG, and I think JDG realizing that actually they don't have an opportunity to re-engage that one. Still had the Sion ult, still had both Azir and Kaisa ults as well. So nicely done by RNG to find a pick. And it's exactly what we were just alluding to, right? Zoom was on the bottom side of the map, didn't have TP available. Xiaohu had that TP advantage, so he's able to get into that fight, forces the 5v4 in favor of RNG. Now JDG, once again, they do have this gold lead. They have the advantage with the dragons, but if they start to lose control of the game, it'll be very difficult for them to get back on top. When you look at the AD carriers right now, Gala is miles ahead of Loken. He is a full legendary item up on his counterpart. Gala in these fights on the Kaisa, if he's able to find his targets, if the team can protect him, he will take over.
And that's going to be the name of the game for RNG, is getting Gala in that position to be able to take over. But as long as you can see another fight like how JDG were able to find before with Zoom on Sett to have that flank, there is always the option for the continued pick out of JDG, but it seems like those options are going to get fewer and far between.
So Baron now the call for RNG as they contest vision a little bit here. Difficult for them to really commit. Zoom on the flank, though. If he can find a good ult onto someone like Gala, Cleanse is available, but Flash isn't.
They're really far out here, too. Destiny Gate open. Gold card onto Gala. Cleanse immediately. Here's the showstopper and jumping into the backline, trying to get on top of Gala. Going to be able to have the Empress Divide to be able to cut them to pieces. JDG are split. Zoom is dead, and they can continue to chase on to JDG, getting the slow and knock up onto Loken. Cleanse a little bit too late. They continue to try to press and take down Loken because they know without this carry, JDG don't have a fight.
This is beautiful from RNG. They acknowledge that they can win the 5v5, and JDG, for some reason, opt straight into it. They try and find the pick onto Gala. The gold card goes in, but the cleanse was available, so Gala can then just Killer Instinct to the back of the fight, keep himself safe. Cryin with a great Emperor's Divide as well. Now Yagao wants to contest.
Trying his best to be able to contest, but it's the kill for Gala, and Baron is not low enough for Kanavi to be able to get in. He had to flash out of there, so that is going to be RNG securing Baron and pushing off JDG.
This was beautiful from RNG. Brute forcing a fight, and once again, Gala surviving. Take a look at this. So, in with the Destiny. Gold card onto Gala. He has Cleanse, so he can walk away. Then Sett comes in. I was worried, but the Killer Instinct, and he's headbutted away by LvMao. After that beautiful Alistar play that we saw earlier, I thought that was a Killer Instinct out of the fight. That was a mess up from LvMao. Really unfortunate play there from JDG. And it does mean the RNG win out that fight. That tiny little interaction might be everything. Now into the 5v5.
They feel a bit more confident now to start off fights themselves. They feel like they can flex their muscle a bit around this dragon to deny the Infernal Soul from JDG, who would love to be able to get their hands and their mitts onto it, but it's the Smite secure for Wei. JDG are a bit split in this fight. I'm still trying to see if they can disengage. Wei doesn't want to let them go too easily. LvMao using the minion to try to be able to disengage for the time being with the Unchained Broken. Unfortunately, not going to be able to have enough to be able to defend this tier 1 turret. It's so low that they have to bail completely.
And, you know, we talked about earlier, if JDG lose control of this game, it's going to be very difficult to get back. Well, with the Baron in their pockets, RNG now can go wherever they please on the map. They no longer have this 1-3-1 threat against them. Whilever they have Baron, they will have pressure in those side lanes. Just the Baron alone will do that for you. So now RNG are in this fantastic position where they can control the side lanes. They can control the state of the map. And suddenly, now it's down to JDG trying to get creative, trying to find a pick in a side lane and force something somewhere on the map. But the question is, will they be able to do it quickly enough that RNG can't answer elsewhere? This is the smartest team in the LPL we're talking about.
And didn't we even say that these picks are going to get fewer and far between for JDG? Even Zoom is no longer safe to be able to push out like he once was. He's easy pickings for the side of RNG. Ming's already there to be able to cut off his retreat. You're not as tanky as you once thought.
So now JDG trying to answer elsewhere on the map. Gala will be able to clear this wave, but the minion wave isn't there yet, so they can't get straight onto the tier 2. Cryin can clear in the mid wave. But JDG can go up to the tier 2 in the top side of the map, perhaps.
It does seem that they're going to fall back instead. I think that for JDG, that it was a nice attempt from them, but without Zoom, they're so afraid that Xiaohu's going to flank them and be able to cut their retreat off, where they'd be easy to be able to annihilate for RNG, and that would be the game right off of that.
So we reset here. 3 minutes until that Infernal Drake comes up, and RNG finally in control of the game. They have been struggling to take control of what's happening in this game the entire time, but off the back of all of this action, they're finally in charge. And look at the items quickly. QSS there for Gala as well as his clan, so he's even harder to lock down than he was before, and he's on 3 items plus a BF sword. You've got an Azir for Cryin that's now hit that 3-item mark. He is massive in this game. And when we get to that next Baron, by the way, RNG can just pull the trigger and just basically one-shot a Baron if JDG are out of position. Now it comes down to JDG. Are you creative enough? Are you able to find a way to play the map that RNG can't outdo?
Once touted as the smartest team, this would be the time to prove that they are still an incredibly smart team. Find that creative pathing to be able to punish RNG. They're able to at least get themselves a tier 2 in the bot lane to get more gold influx. They still, in fact, have a gold lead over RNG, but it's where the gold is that really matters. You already mentioned Gala having such a huge lead. Loken, the player they normally play around for JDG, has kind of been left out to dry still.
So Zoom is able to shove out on the top side. Zoom does have his teleport available. Drake up in 1.5 minutes. That's really what we've got to focus on here. And so much of this Drake fight is going to be about how these two teams are controlling the lanes leading up to that. RNG right now are the stronger team in a straight up 5v5, but what JDG want to do is find themselves presence in these side lanes. Now that the Baron is gone, they can try and set up that 1-3-1 again and then rotate in towards the Dragon. If they can get some deep vision, look for a pick with Yagao. Problem is, it's going to be difficult to find that pick. The target has to be Cryin. Doesn't have a Zhonya's, has no way to cleanse off a gold card like Gala can. If they can find a pick onto Cryin, maybe they can make something happen.
Maybe, but I'm still worried because if you're not focusing Gala, he's 7-1. This Kaisa is scary right now. She's going to destroy your entire team. Sure, it's the collector build, the older Kaisa build that we've seen somewhat replaced in sometimes, but it's gonna have a lot of damage. Your team's not really that tanky to survive her, especially when she's ahead.
And I think there's a really important thing about the itemization here. Not just about Kaisa, but look at the other side as well. Loken, he's had to go into early armor pen because... hang on, we got to fight.
Yeah, it looks like Kanavi. He's pretty tanky, but Xiaohu on the other side was able to split up the fight for now. LvMao still waiting to be able to rotate, and Ming took a lot of damage from this entire time. They're able to at least get the cleanse out of Gala. There's going to be a long cooldown. JDG can try to punish it.
Yeah, that's huge, actually. Getting the cleanse before this fight. Dragon is coming up. Yagao's behind the enemy team. If they can shut down really Gala or Cryin, they can win the fight.
They got a lot of damage on the way. Trying to jump into the backline. Emperor's Divide to disengage for now. But they still have Kanavi flashing away from Wei, getting a lot of damage on Ming, but they're able to get the Zenith Blade, and Gala's trying to see if they can follow it up. He's still
on the Drake.
Getting the knockup, but it's the Drake. They're trying to just get the soul for themselves while Zoom is doing his damnedest in the backline to keep them all disengaged. He tried to get the Stride Breaker away towards the team, but they're trying to dive in with Cryin. And look at Loken. Loken's damage finally coming online. They're taking down RNG. They've got the soul they need, and somehow JDG clawed back.
And Loken going with the early Lord Dominic's regard. He has the armor pen. He can shred through Xiaohu through Wei. And guess what? Baron just spawned as well. Gala's the only one on the map from RNG. He cannot contest this in any way. Now with an Infernal Soul, with a Baron as well, this feels like JDG are poised to take game 1.
And you were big brain on that one. They didn't need to focus Gala. They got Cryin. They got Ming. The engage potential out of RNG was taken out of the equation. So JDG not only got themselves the soul, they get Baron on top.
Look at that.
It's Kanavi soloed it out.
Just a quick moment there. They wait for the respawn on Yagao as well before taking the Baron. No rush on that one. Make sure every member has got it. You love to see it. But another look at this fight quickly, because they go in. RNG know that they have to commit, but they overcommit on the top side. JDG just buy time. The whole time Loken is just hitting the Drake. Kanavi's there as well. They smite the Drake out, and then it's like, okay, well, Loken, our only damage source anyway, is still full health, able to flash away from Cryin, and just starts bopping people. He has so much damage at this point in the game. He's able to just shred everyone. Grabs himself a BF sword off the back of that fight, as well as finishing his boots, and got a stopwatch, importantly. So if he's ever caught out by Cryin, he's able to keep himself alive for a second.
Can we also applaud Zoom in that one? What was that, 4 members of RNG that he was able to distract and survive? It was nuts out of JDG.
Man, Zoom's Sett is something else. Like, when you think back to the kind of prime of Sett top, it was when Zoom was in his prime as well. We got a fight though. He's caught out this time.
He's got a big shield from the Haymaker. Showstopper to try to draw back in and survive again. It was Ignite ticking on the other side. Cryin is split up, but look at the damage onto Xiaohu. They want to see if they can at least get rid of the tank, with Cryin taking a little bit of damage from the front of everybody. But it seems that RNG will be able to disengage all the while. JDG are more than happy. They still have Baron.
Yeah, you think you've got to pick onto Zoom, but he's completely invincible. You just can't kill him. There is no such thing as a pick onto Zoom at this point. You're just starting a fight. So now into the mid lane they go. The 1-3-1 that we talked about is so exceptionally strong, especially with a Baron for JDG. You just sit Loken with LvMao, with Kanavi in the mid lane. They're even sending Zoom down there as well, just to make sure RNG can't force this fight.
Oh, they're forcing it on the side of JDG instead. They got the pick onto Cryin. They still have the damage they need to with the turret gone. Ming next on the dock, a double kill coming in from Loken. They might continue with a knockup onto Xiaohu, getting a lot of damage coming in from Loken. Gets hit by the decimating smash with Gala into the backline, but the last shot was able to at least keep him at bay for now. Jump back in on top of Gala, having themselves an unofficial triple with the ace. That is JDG taking down RNG, trying to reclaim their title as the smartest team in the LPL.
JDG feel like they might be back. A game win against RNG is a big underdog in this series, and such an intelligent way to do it as well. The 1-3-1 pick comp out of JDG. They pull it off beautifully, and they get themselves an incredible game win.
It was a bit messy there in the mid game. It seemed like RNG had figured out the strategy. They found the fights they needed to claw it away from JDG, until we had the split fights where it was JDG finding the picks they needed to. Zoom as well on that set. It was beautiful to see.
Yeah, really, really great stuff coming out from Zoom on the set, as you'd expect, right? Like I tried to sneak this in the game, didn't have time between the fights, but when you think about Sett's prime time as a champion, it was that top lane Sett last year. That's exactly when Zoom was considered one of, if not the best top laner in the entire world. This guy is an insane talent in the top lane. We were hyping him up coming into the game, and he is still proving exactly that. On the other side, though, Xiaohu in these team fights is having a really hard time on Sion. Not really able to zone the carries in the way that you need from your front line. Kind of just being a meat shield. You know, that's fine to an extent, but when you're against some of the other top teams in the LPL, it's not quite going to be good enough. So Xiaohu maybe needs to be pushed back onto these carry top laners because this tank really didn't feel like good for him. And RNG, when they're playing towards the opposite side of the map, didn't feel like they could control the game pace in the same way that we've seen from them across the course of this split.
It was really interesting, wasn't it? We saw two different styles from each of the teams. We saw RNG trying to play around the bottom side of the map, trying to see if they could rely on Gala and Ming, with Xiaohu on the weak side. But JDG answered it by playing towards Zoom, and the damage graphs were interesting, because like I said before, it seemed as though RNG were going to be able to have the team fight prowess that we expected, and the picks weren't working for JDG, until they found the perfect fight.
Yeah, I mean, this is a perfect example of how this composition operates for JDG, where you essentially have a Tristana and 4 tools that all have CC that will enable Tristana, right? You've got Tristana, 3 bouncers, and his mate that slings cards occasionally. Like, it's all about finding the picks. It's all about setting Loken up to be the big carry. And yes, Cryin is going to top damage chart because he's playing Azir and he had a Wit's End and a Leandris, so he's going to be able to just burn because these tanks are all huge. But ultimately, the game was very well played by JDG. RNG did find the one fight at about, I think it was 24, 23 minutes, something like that, where they almost turn everything around on its head, managed to get the Baron. It started to look really dicey for JDG. But JDG played the game very, very well. They played the map well, didn't allow RNG to take complete control back. And then reset into that 1-3-1, reset into being able to look for picks and to be able to stop the RNG carries being able to show up in these fights.
I also did like how they were able to play around a lot of those early dragons. Getting themselves in that position for an early soul point kind of forced RNG to play constantly into their hands that allowed them to look for multiple pick potentials. I talked about how there's a few windows that they could find, and that was one of them.
Yeah, they were able to force the hand of RNG, right? Force them to play against them in these early fights. And when you've got like an Azir on your roster, generally speaking, you want to try and play for the later stages of the game. But accelerating that pace was definitely the way forward for for JDG, sorry.
Great stuff from JDG to take Game 1 over RNG. We'll see if RNG can fire back in Game 2 or if JDG can get an upset with a 2-0 over the #1 team in the LPL. We'll find out after a short break.